Hi, I'm Chuck Morundi, broker of Sequim and Port Angeles Real Estate. One of the questions I get a lot by email or on the telephone lately is, how do we really find a great home in Sequim or Port Angeles? Can we just find a great foreclosure? Is there a fantastic 3-bedroom, 2-bath foreclosure in a really great area for maybe only $125,000? The short answer is no, but it needs an explanation. Places like Phoenix, Las Vegas, and other places around the country that have suffered from a severe real estate recession, overbuilding, and massive foreclosures are places where you hear stories about people finding a great house for $99,000. Well, that's not the case in Sequim and Port Angeles. We don't really have a big foreclosure market here, so there aren't a lot of foreclosures for sale. But there's much more to the story. The foreclosures that are on the market here are very, very difficult to deal with. And I'm going to give you just one example of why I say that. Number one, they don't really list them at extraordinary prices. They list them at top dollar prices typically. Nearly all of the foreclosures I've seen are listed at top dollar. So you start out trying to negotiate at a price that may be even higher than an individual selling their own home. Now, the other challenge is that once you have a client who's ready, willing, and able to make an offer, a reasonable offer on a house that is a foreclosure listed now in the MLS, we have kind of a challenge of procedure, a challenge of bureaucracy here, because banks, you see, they hand over the listings to what is called an REO, a real estate owned entity that they contract to manage the property, maintain it, get it listed with a realtor. The banks don't do that. They hand that off to an REO. Now the REOs themselves often subcontract on some of the things that have to be done. So for example, I had some clients who made a very reasonable offer on a house that was a foreclosure. We went back and forth because the REO, the entity that was handling this for the REO, was very, very, very stubborn. They were on the East Coast somewhere. They don't know anything about the market here. We arrived essentially at full agreement, mutual acceptance on the price and the terms, but the last step before we had a final signed agreement was that the listing agent said to me, my client is going to send an addendum for your client to sign, and then we've got a done deal. I said, fine, let's do it. So I get the addendum. It's about 11 pages, and the addendum was a disaster. It was a deal killer. It literally killed the transaction. Now here's an addendum that was prepared by an entity that works for the REO, that works for the bank. The addendum wasn't drafted by an attorney. I know that because I was a real estate attorney for 20 years. It was very clumsy. It was a cut and paste agreement that somebody had put together. One of the clauses, and I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but one of the clauses in that addendum would have required my clients, it would have, there was a sentence in there, a paragraph that said that my clients give that company the right to all of my clients' bank accounts, savings accounts, checking accounts, financial data, stock accounts, investment accounts. Now, remember, this isn't the lender, this is just the seller or a company working for the seller, the bank. For them to demand that my clients give them personal financial access, or access to the personal financial data without limitation, was absolutely shocking. We didn't even know who this little company was somewhere on the East Coast. Nobody could explain who they were. There were about a dozen of these kinds of horrendous clauses in this addendum. Well, my client said, this is just unbelievable. Well, I explained to the listing agent that my clients could not possibly sign that crazy addendum. And he said, after talking with his clients, they wouldn't sell it without a signature on that addendum. This is the kind of nonsense that's going on in the foreclosure market. Now, that deal died. My clients went off. They're going to buy another house. That foreclosure house is still on the market. Will they get somebody to sign that crazy addendum? Maybe. maybe not. If they don't, it'll be on the market for a long, long time. By the way, that foreclosure house had almost all of the fixtures in the house torn out and stolen by the prior owners. Many foreclosure homes are a disaster. One in particular here that was for sale that I showed, all of the fixtures in the inside of the house and the outside of the house were ripped out and stolen. And all of the appliances were gone, including the kitchen stove, the island in the kitchen, the sinks throughout the house were gone, and so on. So, foreclosure homes, at least in Clallam County and the Sequim and Port Angeles areas, they're not a steal. In fact, they're often a pain in the butt, and they're not the best buys right now. Remember, you want a house, number one, that's in a great location. So it's really hard to find a foreclosure house that is in that great location. We have, what, 800 houses in this area that are for sale. There are plenty of houses that are for sale by the owners listed in the MLS now with agents that are priced better than foreclosure houses that are on the market. In better locations, in better condition, with better terms. That should help a little bit on one aspect of finding a home here. In another video, I'll talk a little bit about the short sale process and a little bit more about the MLS and how to really filter through the MLS to find the best houses. There's a lot to talk about and a lot to do if you're finding, if you're searching for your home in the Sequim Port Angeles area and you want that perfect home or that dream home. There is a lot of due diligence to do, and I'm here to help. I'm here to provide all the information that I can to help you go through that process and make it a pleasant experience. Chuck Morendi, hope this was helpful. You'll find me on the internet at sequimportangeles.com, or you can find the largest real estate blog in the entire Sequim Port Angeles area by going to sequimrealestatenews.com.